everybody. My name's Craig.
I'm Brian.
I'm Burke.
And I'm Michelle.
And this is Get Dunked On, the podcast.
Cause I'm DND.
I'm dying. All right.
Burke messaged me before the podcast. He goes, "My God, I know the song. It's TNT, but DND. It perfect sense."
So I've got a little bit of anger pent up in me.
Craig, what else is new?
At ACDC?
Yes, at ACDC. Okay. This past week, I was trying to get into my bank account, and I was trying to sign in, and it was like, there's a password reset you have to do because of whatever reason. I was like, cool, that's fine. I'm not really worried about it. And then it goes, okay, you got to answer a couple security questions for us. All right, I can do that. Let's get that done. What is your favorite city? Was the question. And I was like, what the shit? I answered, what is my favorite city?
Baltimore.
What is your favorite city? Like, I mean, does anybody choose anything other than like Los Angeles or New York? Like, I mean, like, what are you going to choose?
Well, yeah, I was like, that's my exact thing.
Newark, New Jersey.
Like, what in the world would I choose in this scenario? So I was like, okay, let's go through all the possibilities here. I was like, let's go with New York. Nope. Let's go. Well, I started off with like Grand Blanc or Goodrich. I went through like hometown
that's
stuff.
That's not a city. It's technically a village of Goodrich. It doesn't have a high enough population to be considered. I'm just saying technicalities count. Anyway,
but technicalities doesn't count for what the fuck I typed in. I could have typed in Brian's butthole as my favorite city and they would have accepted it. Anyway, I went through and I typed all local stuff first. Nothing. I was like, okay, well, I'll go with Detroit. You know, maybe I was thinking, well, I love Detroit sports, so I'll put Detroit in there. Wasn't that? I was like, I'll even go crazier. I'll put Comerica Park. No. Comerica. No. It's like, all right, let's think abstractly. And this account I set up was like probably 4 or 5 years ago. I was like, okay.
I know what it is.
I was watching a lot of How I Met Your Mother at this point. I'll type in New York. No. Los Angeles? No. Chicago? I'm starting to hit cities I don't care about at all. I was like, all right, let's think Lakeland, Florida. No. Could not figure this stupid thing out. And it pissed me off greatly. I never logged in, Brian, with it, so I don't know what the answer is. What was it?
Santa Barbara.
It wasn't Santa Barbara.
No way. It had to have been Santa Barbara.
No, it wasn't Santa Barbara.
It would have been Santa Barbara.
Okay, technically it could have been because I never answered it fully and I never put that in, but I have a feeling I didn't put that in there. So I have to end up calling my bank and I'm like, hey, your system's stupid. Can we figure this out? And they're like, no worries. We'll go through and we'll do a reset for you. And, you know, we did verification that way over the phone, got everything reset. And they're like, okay, you're going to want to go back in and put like new security questions in there for yourself. I was like, all right, I'm going to go back in there. So I get back in, I start kind of messing with it, go to the security questions. And it's like, hey, pick 3 different security questions. It's like, perfect. What I always try and do is I always try and pick things that are factual, things that I can actually remember, things that are like, what was your favorite? I'm like, if I set this up,
aren't going to change.
Yeah. What was your favorite this? I'm like, I have no idea. They're like, who was your best friend in high school? I was like, that was 4 years. And I probably had like 1 or 2, 3 different people that could have been like in that realm. And I don't want to get to it where I'm guessing. And it's like, you have 2 chances to get by. Otherwise we lock your bank account and we donate it to whatever fund. So I'm like, shit, what else am I going to put in here? So I always try and do things that are very like, I know what they're going to be, and I'm not going to list off which ones I chose and what the answers are.
I was about to say, can you do that? And then we do a bonus section where you give us the account number.
So, but like I was going through, I was like, okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to find things that are, you know, more factual, things that I can answer about myself, my family, my experiences, everything that there's no other answer besides this. I couldn't think of a different way of doing it. And so I go through and I click on the first one. There's absolutely every single one of them was, what's your favorite? I was like, okay. Let's find the least like, what's your favorite thing? And again, I'm not going to go through and tell you which one I chose, but every single one of them, I was like, these are all stupid. These are absolutely stupid. And so I didn't even end up choosing one at that time. I went down to the second one. All of them. What is your favorite? There's a list of like 10 of them, and they're all, again, what's your favorite or what's your, you know, subjective thing? I was like, I swear to God, I'm going to shoot somebody so hard. And then the third one was like, oh, there's one that's factual. Oh, this is one that anybody in the world could look up at any point and find, probably via Google. Great, that's going to be the only one I can freaking do. And so I end up having these two like absolutely random ones. And I wrote a note because the answer doesn't even make sense to the question. It'd be like, what's your favorite color? And I'm like, not blueberry. I was going to say like green shirts. Like, it's something ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. They don't connect at all. But I wrote down, and I have it stored somewhere securely, what those answers are going to be. Luckily, I was able to set up like two-factor authentication with my phone and email as well first. The phone one is my main one, but what? Yes.
But doesn't that make it sound like your bank has pretty much set up more like a dating app than it is really a so what's your favorite food? You're like, oh, well, I kind of like pizza.
Yeah, I absolutely hate those types of security questions on websites where it's like, oh, you're going to set this up 16 years ago, and now you have to remember what your favorite day of the week was at that time. Like, I don't know, Friday?
Well, I mean, I jokingly say that it is set up like a dating app, but it is kind of exactly like how a dating app would work, though, where you just put in a bunch of things like, I actually filled one out for a job application the other day, where it's like, you got to make a profile on our service, so you need to make a bunch of security questions. And they really were just all those. Like, what was your favorite pet? I'm like, oh God, like, all right, I guess, like, do I have to go back through all the pets I ever had? What was your favorite childhood pet? I'm like, fish is out. I'm like going back through all my pets as a kid. It's just, man.
I read those questions and like, I never think favorite. I'm like, what is your first, or something stupid like that? Yeah, like, so because I couldn't do it either. It's like, what is your favorite color? Green, no blue. Like shit like that. Like that would happen to me. So that's why. But the other day, I think I sent Craig a picture of a bunch of security questions, and I put his name as all my security question answers, regardless of what it was. So it's like, what is your favorite color? Craig. who's your best friend as a child? Craig. Like, what town were you born in? Craig. It didn't accept it. Said, you can't have the same answer. I was like, no, this would have been so simple.
I had one on that same one where it asked me, I didn't choose this one, but it was one of the options was, when is your parents' anniversary? And I was like, oh, well, perfect. I'll just put in when their anniversary is. I put in the date, and it goes, oh, we can't accept numbers in this field. I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, what? What are you talking about? You can't accept numbers in this field. Like, oh my I had no idea what it wanted from me, so I didn't choose that question.
Yeah, I have the same problem Craig does, where it's either favorites or it's factual things, but it's like, it's common knowledge things that literally everybody knows. Like, it'll be like, what's the name of your high school? And I'm like, oh, great, Goodrich High School. That's really creative.
Yeah.
I'm sure a hacker doing his homework won't find out this information.
Yeah, totally not going to check out my Facebook page to figure out everything about it.
Heck, let's listen to this podcast on episode 1, and they're like, well, we got enough information on these guys.
We got Goodrich Middle School and Goodrich High School.
What was the first street?
At least we got the clicks though when they came in.
That's it.
What was your childhood street you grew up on? 1, 2, 3 Hamburger Lane.
Well, and the thing is, like, my parents still live on that street too, so it's like anyone who knows my parents are gonna be like, oh, that's it.
Yeah, I hear you. It's one of those things where we pretty much the information that we put out on the podcast, we can pretty much never use as password backups anymore.
But they're like the only choices that they give us.
Yeah. No, I'm actually thinking back through every profile I've ever made. I'm like, oh God, what have I done? I'm waiting for my door to get kicked in by a SWAT team. They're like, get down. I'm like, what'd I do? Like, you made a profile on OkCupid or something. I'm like, oh shit. Oh God.
Speaking of kicking doors down, that's exactly what you have the ability to do in this week's topic, which is D&D or Dungeons and Dragons or tabletop RPGs in general.
Fair enough. Yeah, we have the ability to do, well, anything.
Pretty much anything. So we wanted to sit down and have a little conversation about the game this week. And so what was everybody's first experience with any form of a tabletop game like that? So it could be like a Pathfinder or any of the other, dice-based systems like this. We're not talking like a normal like game board, like, Monopoly and stuff like that, but more of like an open-ended game, like RPG type game. What was everybody's first experience?
I was like 10 or 11, and mine was my cousin was just literally making shit up. Like, he was like, this is kind of how D&D is played, but he was making up literally everything on the spot. And it wasn't very fun because he was just being an asshole.
Oh, that sucks.
So I was
just
like,
overly harsh.
I was just like, wow, I'm never playing D&D. And then it was like literally years before I tried again.
Was when you played the real deal, was it, did you find it to be easier than your cousin's version?
Yes and no. So my first time playing D&D, like seriously, was only like 3 years ago. It was pretty recent. And playing the game is very simple, but I struggle with the role-playing part, as I'm sure everybody else does too. And a lot of my frustration came from the fact that I was playing with people who were more experienced, but not like super. They haven't been playing for like years and years. They've just had a little more experience than me. And that my thing is a couple of them had played Neverwinter Nights, and the rest of us had not. And so when we would get into debates about whether something was okay and something was allowed, it would basically be like, well, in Neverwinter Nights, they let you do this. And we were like, this isn't fucking Neverwinter Nights. Like, this is our campaign. Like, shut up. Like, and it was just like, it was super frustrating in that aspect. But, I still had a lot of fun with the game itself. Unfortunately, I never really got to finish a campaign. We started like a few, but it was like the players were in such a hurry to just try to like level up that we kind of lost a lot of the fun of
the adventure. Yeah.
Yeah, I can specifically say, and I think, Brian, if I'm right, you and I, our first game was together, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, so you can kind of tell you're into the story on this one, but I remember starting off, you had talked to a guy. I guess actually you're the one that started the whole thing, so you start us off. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. What had happened was that I was working at a hospital, because I was working in different hospitals. At the time, I was working next. My desk was next to another guy, and the guy had brought in the like D&D book, like the encyclopedia, basically,
like a player's handbook
D&D.
Or a Dungeons Master guide or something like that.
That's what it was. It was
Okay.
a player's handbook, and he had brought it in, and I looked over and saw it, and what he was doing was going to go to a event that evening, and he had brought it in because he was DMing it. And I looked over and I saw it, and I was immediately enamored with the pictures. Yeah, I know, big shocker, right? I did. It wasn't really into it. It really was. It was. They had this art, and I was blown away by the art in the book. I was looking at it, and there was these pictures of like these heroic, like, the magicians doing their thing. And then there was like, oh man, there's this giant guy with a sword and a battle axe. And they were going after this undead zombie creature that looked really cool. And the art style just immediately drew my eye, and I go, what is this? And he goes, oh, it's the Dungeons and Dragons, player's handbook. And I go, well, what is that? I had known like what Dungeons and Dragons was, but I didn't understand exactly what it was. All I knew was if you said the word D&D, it meant that someone had to yell nerd in the background. This is all I knew about D&D.
Or if you lived in the 80s, Satanist.
Right. But the point was that's all I knew about it. And so I started taking an interest. I said, all right, well, explain to me what it is and how it works. And he goes, well, you have all these races and the classes and the whatevers. And so in my head, I being an adult, your brain, links new things to old things. So in my head, I was like, oh, it's a video
Totally.
game.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a video game. And I'm like, okay, so it's a video game just on paper. So, the goal is, as like Michelle was saying, like, oh, you level up. Oh, you get treasure. Oh, you go and you fight the monsters. Got it. I understand. But what had happened is that he goes, well, not exactly. He tried to explain it to me, but I really was just in the mindset of, yeah, that's the way it goes. So at one point he offers, hey, if you really are interested, I will come over to your house and I will hold a session for you. I'll DM it. And if you want to bring some friends, you need a group, and you'll all make, he goes, I'll help you through the process. We'll make the characters and the whole nine. And that's where Craig comes into the story. So if you want to pick it up from there, Craig, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, I just remember you coming in and asking me like, hey, do you want to be a part of this? And in my head, I was like, no. Like, it did not sound, at the time, it didn't sound anything fun. And again, it was partially because of the whole, like, there was a stigma to it, right? There was the
very
thought,
much
like,
so.
it was D&D. I had never heard anything good about it before. Granted, I probably didn't hear much about it at all, besides in pop culture in general. So it's not like it was this,
Yeah, same
really
here.
this big thing, like, at our school where, at least that I know of,
There might have been.
it may have been, but I mean, to my knowledge, all I knew was the portion of it that was like I said, popular culture, movies and things like that. Like, those are the guys that got beat up. Those weren't the guys that were whatever. Those were the cool kids beating up on the D&D players. And so that's the only thing I had in my head. But I was sitting there going, I was like, there's no reason for me to necessarily think like that. And Brian says it's going to be kind of fun. And then he hands me, he goes, yeah, so he sent all this material here. And I remember Brian prints off pages and pages and pages of this stuff that was emailed over. He goes, we have to choose all this stuff before we get going. I was like, holy shit, what in the world did I get myself into?
We had homework.
Yeah,
Creating a character for the first time is very overwhelming.
it's so
It
overwhelming.
really is.
And then even then we got to pick all this stuff, and then it came around to the day that we were meeting over at Brian's house. And at the time it was myself and Brian, my then girlfriend, now wife, Sarah, and Brian's at the time girlfriend. And we all met over there, and we still had to create the character there, and it took like 3 hours for us to get through everything. And because this was a guy, I think it was a 3.5 D&D 3.5. So for people that know about it, they know how extensive that can be. Like, we were picking everything, like attributing everything. And so it was this, he was taking it, pretty serious, because he was a DM and he had done these games before. So that's what I know now. Before, at the time I had no idea, but he was having us go through a lot of stuff comparatively to like experiences I've had lately with new players, where I'm like, we'll just go with this, and then you'll learn as you go, and then we'll start something new later. And I just remember it taking forever. And I remember, well, I'll get into this a little bit later, but it was just this really new experience, crazy experience, where you start playing, and he's telling the story, and like, I'm enveloped in the story immediately. And of course, it's the first time I'm playing, so I'm doing everything probably where he's sitting there like, this just fucking asshole. I think I was the rogue, so we were all in we're all in jail cells. Like, to start off, we all woke up in a jail cell, and I had my lockpicks on me still, or I used something to lockpick, and I ended up picking the lock and getting out. And like, my first thing was like, there was a person on the opposite side of the wall that had dark vision, and it was at night, and I didn't have dark vision. I was just a human without any and there was no light in there. So this whatever, I think it was a kobold or something, had dark vision, and he was the guard, and he was asleep. I was like, I go to Liu Kang, what's the bicycle kick? I want to Liu Kang bicycle kick him. He goes, are you serious? I was like, yeah. He goes, okay. And like, I remember his disdain looked at my face, and I rolled something decently high, and he goes, you missed. So I'm sure he put the difficulty class or the DC on it probably really high. It was like, this guy's gonna have to nat 20 for him to get this, and I missed, and I knocked myself out or something like that. I didn't crit fail, but I knocked myself out, and somebody else had to get up. But I had unlocked one cage beforehand or something like that. I don't know. And it was just, I remember that, and then it just was that was the very initial experience right there. It just was this like massive undertaking to get started.
Yeah. How about you, Burke? So, what's your origin story with this one?
We're talking about Risk, right? That's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the board games I grew up on, or tabletop games, if you want to call it. Yeah, Let's go with the first time I played. Let's go for real. Sunday. That's yeah. I mean, I get, but yeah, that was my first real exposure to actually playing. Like I don't know if I would have ever played in high school or not, but it was one of those things that I heard y'all talking about it. I'm like, oh my god, that sounds awesome. And then I got old enough to not really care about the whole stigma that's the Hollywood thing, and I was like, I just fuck it. I don't care if it sounds like fun. Like I love RPGs. I don't know how it would be at the role playing thing, but it sounds like fun. Yeah, let's try this stuff. And what really I think started it was actually the C&C books for me, because it was one of those random. That looks kind of funny. Let's listen to it. I listened to it. I'm like, oh my god, I want to play D&D. And I think shortly after that was actually the first time I played, and it was like a little pre-made character, the red box or something. Is that what you called it, Greg?
So yeah, it was called the red box. It's just like the starter box that almost every edition has, if not every edition. I think it is actually every edition. I just went through one day. I didn't have a lot to do at work that day, and I think Burke was home too. And he was like, "Oh, I've got a little time to kill." And I was like, "I'm going to run you through this real quick." And so I actually got a webcam out, aimed it at the map that I have for the red box, aimed it straight down, and had Burke just roll on a website that we use, rolls.org, and had him just run through that. And I just kind of ran through this like really simplified version of the red box campaign. Just be like, okay, this is the general idea.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this?
And I totally went, like, it was so funny because I was a rogue. I remember it. I was rogue, and I was rolling ridiculous numbers, like 18s and 20s nonstop. So I was taking out this massive force of goblins, no problem. And I just kept walking around fucking with them, like throwing stuff, just messing with them, right? But my whole focus was on killing these motherfuckers. Completely forgot about the story. I was supposed to be searching for treasure or for something in there, completely went out of I was like, forgot about it. And I noticed like Craig was like, can you roll a D20 for me just randomly? I'm like, sure, whatever. And like he was rolling for initiative because I kept walking by the treasure, I think 3 or 4 times. Like, so I could have found it, left all the goblins alive and just scurried on out. Right. But I was like, I'm gonna kill everything.
Yeah, he there's a treasure he just had to grab and walk out, and that would have been the end of the encounter, basically.
Yeah,
and it was right there. Every time he walked by the throne that had the treasure right in the seat, I made it just where he had to, actually do a perception check, or like a rolled perception check instead of using passive. I was like, hey, can you roll for me? He'd roll. I was like, and he like, those are the ones he kept rolling low, like rolled a 5. I was like, okay, well, I wanted to get him a roll of 15 or higher on this. And he just kept going by it. I was like, can you roll again? He's like, okay, God. Yeah, we'll roll again. Miss it again. And he kept going around and finally came back and like had searched through everything. He's like, all right, I'm searching everywhere. I was like, you find it by the throne.
And I went, motherfucker, because I realized. And then he goes, well, because I think Craig had to remind me. He goes, what were you in there for? Oh yeah, treasure.
So it's kind of the opposite of our experience in Sunday then. Of combat versus non-combat.
Yeah, I had so much fun, like being in, like, because like the character personality wise is very opposite of what I am, like, and it was just a lot of fun. Like I don't want to go into too many details because we're still playing the campaign, but like the big one for me is you were I had like a ranking in the military, but you're very passive. If someone else gives you a suggestion, you'll follow it. You're not going to come up with a solution. And it was so funny because I could see Brian getting frustrated, like, fucking come up with a decision, Burke.
I'm like, what do you guys think?
And I'm like, sounds good. Laughing, Brian. I was laughing every time you're like, what do you guys think?
And I'm like, sounds good.
Every time I was like, Burke really can't answer. His character doesn't. Yeah. His character kind of just takes orders. He doesn't go through and answer things. He doesn't come up with solutions. He follows through on orders.
Well, it's so funny.
To give you an idea, to give the public at home an idea of the campaign we're running through right now, because we wanted to give Burke and everyone another chance to run through a campaign and whatever before this podcast. Basically, we had these characters that were like pre-built characters, but we just took them on. We selected from a pool of characters, and then Craig crafted a story around them. Yeah. So we're basically doing that and kind of running through it. And some of the most harrowing parts of the adventure none of them have been combat centric. literally we have not gotten into one true fight, but like the battle versus the gate was hilarious. That was like 20 to 30 minutes on literally trying to take down a gate. And it's like, well, okay. So like this is where it comes into play, like knowing your characters and this kind of thing. So this is why D&D is, I think, or I guess we'll just call it tabletop gaming, whatever, is fun, is because when we said at the beginning, it's limited by your imagination. It really is only limited by your imagination and your creativity. Yeah. So, for example, we were looking at the gate. Burke looks at it. He's like, well, it's a gate and there's stone there. Like that's what his character could see after rolling. Because yep. Because so
you chose to go to the bar and then you rolled low. You got drunk while you were at the bar.
He did. And so like I looked at my character sheet and I was like, well, I have a bonus in history. What do I know about? What do I know about the houses in the area and like the designing and whatever? And Craig, and so we crafted Craig crafted this whole thing about it, and we got basically to the point where it's like, okay, we need to take down this gate, and we know that it's weak at the hinges because of historical relevance. and Burke's like, I got a crowbar, and Craig's like, you got a what? In this inventory, sure as shit, Burke had a crowbar.
And then we get what? Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome.
And then literally there was a cooking pot involved at one point too.
Oh my god, yes, the cooking pot. Holy crap!
So we get the. Go ahead.
Go. I was just gonna kind of. So basically, they're just trying to break into this house to get information from somebody, right? That's their goal of what they're trying to do. So they start trying to break open this gate, and they use the crowbar to break the hinges, because Brian got a really good history check, and I was like, all right, I want to reward Brian for thinking outside the box, so I'm going to give him like, okay, he knows that these hinges are going to be like, they have a chance of being really worn down and be able to break pretty easily. And then Burke's got the stone. Like, they all did really good on their checks, and they all come up with really good, like, what about this? Would this help me? I was like, that's actually a good idea. I would have never thought of that. I want to reward them for coming up with something unique and a different way of looking at this problem. And so, and this was another thing, is they basically knocked the hinges off of this gate. It's this big, like, think of a big wrought iron, like, gate in front of somebody's house. Giant one, yeah. To where I told them, like, they think that based on the look of it, that it would take all three of them to hold it if they didn't want it to fall and make a lot of noise. And so they break it, and something happens, and nobody grabs it really well. Brian does a really outstanding. Did you get a nat 20 on that check?
Yeah.
Nat 20 check for a strength check on grabbing the gate and holding it up. So I gave him like a little bit of an ability, and then Mike nails a roll, and he goes, okay, I want to put my cooking pot underneath the gate to help hold it up. I was like, what? He's like, I'm going to put the cooking pot, and that's going to hold some of the weight to help it where we can have one person maybe jump off. And again, it's one of the things where I was like, I would have never thought of it. That's brilliant. Like,
but it would take the pressure off the one side. It was legitimate.
And that's what I'm trying to do. I was like, I want to reward people for thinking very creatively and coming up with different solutions. I would have never thought of, I'm going to put a cooking pot under here to help me hold up the weight. Yeah. And so I was like, fuck yeah, there you go. So Mike rolled high, got the cooking pot under there, and it held the weight enough for Burke to jump off and crowbar the rest of the gate off.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Oh god. What about you, Michelle? Do you have any of those tips and stories off the top of your head?
So not quite, because like I said, like there was so much focus on combat, because like all the players were just like, we want to level up and get to these, better skills. So I do have two, but they're both like combat based. So the first one was the first campaign I was playing. We were playing, I think, 2nd edition. And I don't know if you guys have used 2nd edition, but it's a lot different from 3.5 and up.
Yeah.
It's super intense, and I forget exactly what was going on, but we were in some room in a cave that had a statue in it, and one of the players was just like this big beefy like strength guy, no brain, and was literally told that a treasure chest was trapped, and he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna like shoulder bash it anyway. So he does.
He's playing the character well.
So he does, and it explodes, and he's like nearly dead, and then he's pissed about the exploding treasure, so he's like, I'm gonna fucking knock this statue over, and the DM's like, what? And he's like, I'm gonna push the statue over. So he pushes the statue over, and it releases like some demon or wraith thing that literally slaughters like the whole party except for me, and like I'm a wizard, I'm out of spells, like I have nothing going on, and I'm like, what am I gonna do? And literally the only thing I have left in my inventory is just these 2 little healing potions. So I'm like, I throw the healing potion at the wraith, and it killed it. Both of them. Well, it took both potions, but like it ended up killing it. And I was like, oh my god, we just got, you know, this close, because everyone's like down to 1 health, and I'm just like, shit. So that was like kind of entertaining. And then the second time was when we were playing 3.5, and since I wanted to do better at the role-playing part of it, I chose a character that I felt was closer to how I would actually be, because I felt like that would be easier to learn that way. And so I picked like a cleric that was pretty much just like straight up like lawful good, healing, like nothing crazy. And I enjoyed playing that character.
What race? Just out of curiosity.
It was shit, I forget the name. It was half elf and half the celestial one. I forget the name of it.
Fae?
No, I'd have to look it up.
What would be Fae? What would be?
I have the character sheet somewhere, but anyway, so I was playing that character, and other than healing, I didn't really have a whole lot to do. Like, I wasn't great in combat. I wasn't awful, because I got pretty decent rolls, but I wasn't great. But then we entered a room that was just like all undead, and I was like, yes, my time has come. I got a really good roll on turn undead and just like obliterated the whole room, and I was like, this is what I was waiting for. And like, it's like times like that where you feel really happy to play your character when you get to do something that your character was meant to do.
Yeah. And actually that brings up a good point. We could all kind of go around and talk about what's your favorite types of characters to play, or what's the one that you think is like the most ideal for you. So it sounds like yours is cleric.
It was. And then the third campaign I played or started, I did do cleric again, but I kind of strayed away from just the straight like only healing and buffering basically. And I went to, I think, like neutral good, so that I would have like a little more leeway about kind of doing things that were a little dickish sometimes. And that to me was my favorite character, because that was the most like me. And like I said, it was easier for me to play that kind of character.
How about you, Craig? What's yours?
I'd probably say, and here's the thing is, there hasn't been a lot of games that I've actually been a player for. Even though my earlier times exploiting as a DM, I look at now and I go, wow, I was an extremely shitty DM. Even though
I
that
was too the one time I tried.
Even though that was the case, the times I played, I didn't play a lot of different characters. Like, actually, I've only played the game twice as a player. I've DM'd every other time. And
are you including your bachelor party?
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. I guess I don't know what my character was on the bachelor party one. You could probably remember more of that. Like, I don't remember like that type of character. I remember the adventure. I just don't remember like what the character was. But I have only ever played basically a human rogue. That's it. I haven't played anything else. And unfortunately, the first time I was playing, I was very much, and Brian was a part of this group as well. And I think he got it faster than I did. I was playing to like maximize my stats. I wasn't exactly min-maxing, but I was on the road to min-maxing, where I was more worried about what things would synergize with my character in terms of abilities, rather than actually like playing the game as a role-playing game. And
that's what all my players were like too.
Yeah, coming up with flaws and stuff like that. And I look at it now, I'm like, man, I'm like physically embarrassed by the way I actually acted during those games. That's all I did with it. But I think now, even more so, because I remember getting annoyed because my rogue wasn't very powerful, except for if I had sneak attacks. I think it would be even more fun now to play a human rogue, because now I can actually play it and know that I'm not trying to win this game. I'm trying to play like a human rogue would actually do it. And so maybe I wouldn't be a human. I don't think I'd go halfling, because it's, that's the that's the trope. It's always a halfling rogue. I'd probably pick something else to be a little goofier. Like
Tiefling, or
I was
whatever
gonna
they're
go
called.
even like the opposite, like potentially like a dwarf rogue or something, like really weird combination.
Oh God, the half orc rogue.
Yeah, something like that. Where you're like, how does this work? I think that could end up being like a lot of fun times coming out of it. But looking at it now, that's probably my favorite character, and that's because of the ways that when I actually ended up playing, Mike, your brother Brian and I would do little one-on-one games with each other, where we'd send each other through just really small campaigns. Like he wanted to rob a bank once as his character, because we used to have a roving DM it was me, Brian, Mike, and one of our other buddies. We all would have our our characters, excuse me, and we'd play in other people's games. And so it was like a episodic, okay, we're all going to go adventure in Josh's world. It was all the same world, but it was like, he's the one telling the story this week. And then Brian would tell the story this week. And then I would tell
I had the Christmas episode.
And like, so we kind of took our characters around, and it made no sense probably like chronologically and whatnot, because we'd level up and we just keep running. But it was a lot of fun then during that. But Mike and I would do little one-on-ones, and that was pretty fun. He sent me one where I had to go take down a Walmart. It wasn't called Walmart, but the allegory was I was taking down Walmart. And this was back when Mike was he probably still is, but I know for at least at that time, he was very much on the nickel and dime by Walmart train.
Yep.
And so I think the Rogue was probably my favorite. It's the only one I've ever done, but I think it'd be a lot more fun now playing the game actually as a like role playing the game instead of just trying to win the game, quote.
Burke, you've played a couple classes now, so are you enjoying those ones, or do you think that you're more, or there's one that you really want to try?
I don't know, because usually in video games I go one or two ways. I'm either going to be sneaky, like a rogue, and that's what I tried the first time, or if it's like an RPG, sometimes I'll go long distance, or the healer. And so right now I'm kind of playing the healer, and it's not the kind of character I would have built, but it's a lot of fun. Like it's still like having the spells and doing random weird stuff with them is just a lot of fun. So
yeah, getting creative with it. You were getting pretty good creative with the spells the other day, actually. Yeah, throwing the sounds and whatever else is. I was like, that's really? That's a thing? Like, all right, cool.
It was fun because I think I like at least studying and like thinking. I was like, what spells do I want to prepare all this stuff? And having that forethought to go. Don't exactly know what I'm going to encounter, but I can see me using this. In this instance, I think I know we're going to talk to a guy, so let me go see what I what do I think I'll use, right? And that's just trying to plan and prepare because you have limited resources is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, and I got to tell you, it was the ones that you had prepared and the ones that you were using the other day. I was like, these are neat because I had never even seen those spells before. Like that was new to me because I had never played with any of those types
I could
of
use
things.
it all the time since it was a level 0 spell, or cantrip as it's called,
which is like ridiculously awesome.
I was having fun.
Brian, what's your favorite character that you've played?
So I've played 3. Well, actually, no. Yes, I've played 3, and what the one I want to play is as a 4th. So the 3 I've played is I played a wizard in the very first campaign we ever did when we were with that guy, and I remember like the very first spell I ever did was the one where it was mage hand or whatever, that levitate stuff. Like I had done that. That was the very first spell I ever did. I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm like, he can just do that like anytime. And in my head, I'm like, it pretty much he's Luke Skywalker already. Like, how do you go up from here? And so I was like, this is amazing. The second time, and the one I played the most was a paladin, and I gotta tell you, not my favorite. Okay, here's the problem. All right, I don't mind being a bullet sponge in games, right? Like I actually like characters that are bullet sponges a lot of times, where they're like, okay, I'll block for the team and help them out, but I like to be able to, deal it back a little bit too. The paladin was the bullet sponge with no kickback. Like literally, I was like, okay, so we're in another fight, and I'm going to stand in the most obvious spot I can. I'm getting hit, and I'm down. And if every time I would try to hit somebody, I'd roll my dice, and like Craig backstabs, gets like crit, like, oh, he does 6 damage. Mike fires an arrow from across the room, shoots him in the eye, 55,000 damage, kills 800 guys. Like, I swing my sword, I get 1 point. It's like one point of damage. I'm like, why? What am I doing wrong? And it's like, and I found out I'm doing nothing wrong. It's just the character. He had no damage output whatsoever. So and it was really boring. Because our campaigns were so combat centric in those days that literally I just spent the entire game like, all right, I make him my quarry, meaning that he has to attack me and wait for the fight to end. So point is, no more paladins.
that was really bad because our campaigns were so combat centric and they were not based on role playing pretty much at all.
So the paladin was not a good choice for me.
That was pretty bad, and I'm sure it was something that we didn't realize, that you just had. The stats weren't the greatest for your paladin. We were probably like, oh, well, this will work because we put your highest in. I don't remember what the paladin needs. Probably strength, constitution, or wisdom. One of those 3.
Constitution, I think.
So like
it was.
those 3 things. And so when you're swinging back, you weren't doing great. And, and since I literally was putting you guys basically through a dungeon crawl, I remember on one of them. And then, of course, Josh and your brother were not like picking you up after fights and not.
No, they were fighters. They would be like, okay, now we're gonna do this. Oh, yeah, and Josh is a wizard, so he was firing magic. He's like, oh, ray of frost every 3 seconds, magic missiles. Blah. I'm like, whatever. But anyway, the point is that the last one I played recently was during our campaign here, and I'm playing a fighter for the first time, which is my first time playing a guy with decent strength, and like he has good strength and charisma, and I'm like, wow, this is totally different. He can actually speak to people. He actually can physically do things. He's pretty neat. But the one I want to do the most is sorcerer. I want to do a half elf sorcerer, which half human, half elf, super high charisma, basically silver tongue type of guy. And I'm really looking forward to that because I don't know. Just something about the idea of the sorcerer is like right up my alley. I love magic users.
What about everybody else? What's something that you would, I've already kind of talked about what I would like to do. I'd still like to do the human or the rogue of some form, do like a goofy rogue of a different race. Is there something that you would look forward to, Michelle?
No, I would like to stick with cleric. I
stick with cleric.
Genuinely enjoy that role.
Kirk, do you have anything that you might want to try, even though you haven't really done? You haven't.
I know.
You haven't completely dipped your whole body into the water yet. Yeah. But is there anything that you're kind of not even just in characters? Is there anything you look forward to? Something that kind of excites you about the possibilities that you've been thinking about?
I can't wait to heal someone. like seriously, like I just want to heal someone. Like that's it. Like I don't have any, like all my level 0 spells, that they're not too crazy, but they're just I was like, I can't heal anyone. No one's been hurt. I was like, I can't wait. I'm gonna be useful. I'm main mercy. Come on, like seriously. That was an Overwatch joke, Michelle. Sorry if you didn't get that.
No, I know who it is, even if I haven't played.
I know. I'm giving you shit. Let's see. So, anyways, but no, like I was actually thinking, I was like, I wouldn't mind, like, because I've been a halfling rogue, I'm a cleric, a dwarf cleric, still a short. I want to be not a half orc, but what's the other, like the dragonborn or whatever, and the.
Yeah. I thought, isn't that tiefling or something like that?
I don't remember.
No, it's not.
No,
what's one of why? Are you sure?
Yeah. I don't think there's.
It's. I don't know. I read it. It may have been in that 4 ebook I was reading too.
I think it's in a 4e. I'm going to open up my 5 ebook right next to me. I don't have my 4 ebook near me. I'm pretty sure. I think it's just like not Dragonborn, but something along those lines. But go ahead.
Dragonborn.
I know someone who's played a character like that, and they had a lot of fun with it.
Well, while you're looking that up, I will mention my favorite part of our most recent campaign, though, and this is something that Michelle, you might find kind of funny. As we were storming, I call it storming, but there it is. It is. It's called Dragonborn.
I thought it was something like that. Yeah,
sure.
But that's sure Dragonkind, Dragonkin. It's a Dragonborn.
Yeah,
is the actual race type.
Yeah, I think that would just be very interesting to be, because usually I'm kind of one of the guys that sits in the background or is very sneaky, and like I think that guy could be up in your face, very go-getter. I think it'd be really fun to role play.
Oh, I was going to say that's going to be the crazy thing, is getting into the mind of someone that's part dragon, going into like all of their lore and kind of figuring out how they're raised, depending on how you have the person raised. But if you've got them raised in a dragon community, of some kind of a dragonborn community, it's going to be different than being in any form of a human or a lot of other race communities. So that'd be something really crazy to get into and kind of learn about.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
if you're going to pick dragon for a campaign that I'm running, Burke, I need to know well in advance so I can try and plan for that shit. That's not something you come up on the day like, all right, I've got to create this adventure, a little bit of it, and I want to try and tweak it to your guys' thing. So the first couple, we probably are going to do some basic stuff. And you're like, I'm a dragon. I'm like, well, BRB for 3 weeks. I have to go rewrite my entire like outline.
Yeah.
But what was it? Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Before I got to I don't want to get too off track. I want to tell Michelle the story, and I think that you guys would appreciate this. The thing that really got me during the last campaign, the thing that actually like just had me dying laughing, was when we were sneaking up to that castle area, or I shouldn't call it a castle. It's a house, but it's a very nice house. One of the things that we were doing is after we got past the gate, we had gone around the back of the house and we realized that we needed to get in. All the windows were locked, right? So with the windows locked, we had to get in. There's a back door and there's a balcony up above. And instinctively, I was like, balcony's the way to go. So I decided we got to get up there. Michelle, how would you go about getting up to the balcony if it were you in this campaign? And keeping in mind you have two human fighters and one dwarven cleric.
No
there.
obvious like I can climb up this way.
Yeah.
How much does the dwarven cleric weigh? Because I'm not against throwing people.
It would have been a tough throw.
Okay.
It would have been a pretty. You would have had to.
I was saying we had a halfling that we would literally toss around like.
Yeah, I had it in my mind because I thought about it. If both of them tried to throw him up there, they could have maybe gotten him up to like grab it and then maybe pull himself up. But it would have been a tough thing.
Okay.
He's just a short, stocky. Because most of the time you hear, people that are decently strong, they're like, "Holy fuck, these dwarves are heavy."
Yeah,
and it's tough to do a throw with them. So I had it set to be where it would have been a tough thing for two of them. For one person to get him up there, it had to have been basically like a nat 20 situation, but they both would have had have to have pretty good strength rolls to do it.
What was in your inventory?
I had crowbar, shovel, rope, clothes, rations. I think I had hammers, axes,
chainmail,
Burke had masonry
battle
stuff.
axe, and
Is it important
javelins.
that the balcony stays intact?
They were trying to be stealthy at this point.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not sure what I would do. I'd have to see everything laid out, but go ahead and tell me what you did.
So this is what we did with and this is, mind you, Craig had a time limit on it because this guy had a lantern and was coming back toward it. I went in my inventory, grabbed my javelin, went to Burke's inventory, took his rope, tied the rope to the javelin, threw it up through the balcony. And I had to roll twice for this, but I threw it through the balcony, like through the the pillars.
Like the guardrail to make sure you're not falling off.
The guardrails through the handrails, and then when I pulled it back, it twisted it and like locked it into place. And we used that to scale up the thing up the balcony, straight up Batman.
Yeah.
He explains it to me, and I go, "All right, I'll let you try it, but this is gonna be difficult as hell." Like, I told him, I was like, "You look at it and you realize this is a last ditch effort, and you attempting this could cause a lot of problems." Whatever, blah blah. And I was basically just explaining this is gonna be super fucking hard. He goes off and rolls like an 18 and a 19, and I had the DC at 18 in my head. I was like, if he rolls 18 or 19 or 18 and above, he'll do both of them. The only one, or it was 18 for the 18 for the initial throw was the 18, and then he fucking throws a 19 on the pullback because I was like, you gotta time this out perfectly to pull this back the perfect way for everything to get wedged and it not be like clang 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 clang.
Right.
And he goes through and rolls 18, rolls 19. I was like, fuck you. It's like, fine, you do it.
So does Batman our way up there?
So, and the thing is, what I was imagining, Brian, is you just trying to throw it through the first set and go like kind of aim at an angle. If it was like this was the edge, like go to an angle so it goes like through one and then over the other, and so it catches on something on the other side of the balcony. I was like, but when you said the twisting thing, I was like, oh my god, there's no
I thought
way.
you were just gonna throw it into the wall so it would stick and then hope that it would hold your weight. Like that's what I thought you were gonna end up doing. I was like, that's not a bad idea. Then you did that. I was like, that's not. Oh, never mind. It worked.
Oh my god. Yeah. So that was just stuff like that. Only in D&D.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And speaking of which, it's time to test your guys' knowledge of the game.
I'm a cleric.
Woo, I'm ready to fail.
So here's the way this quiz is going to work. Because we have different people from different backgrounds as far as knowledge bases on the game itself, I made the entire quiz. All 15 questions are true and false. And they are all taken directly from the D&D Player's
Which
Handbook.
edition?
So 5e. 5e. So what basically it is, I'll read a statement, and you have to tell me if that statement is true or if it's false. And all the statements, when I say them, they're going to sound true, but some of them I just straight up made up, and some of them are just fudged numbers or different things. So do you understand?
I'm saying if the entire statement is true or false, correct?
Correct. So, the entire statement has to be either true or false.
So I just want to make sure if you're like, hey, a dwar is
it
really
won't be
short
half and half.
and really skinny. I go, false, because he's not skinny. He's short, but not skinny. Okay,
Yeah.
Just want to make sure.
Yeah. The whole thing, the whole way through. Yeah, exactly. You'll see.
Does order matter?
I don't remember what order was
It's
last
going to
week.
be Michelle, Craig, Burke, based on.
Then there it is.
Yeah.
All right. Question number 1. The max level of a character in D&D 5e is level 20. So according to the book, the max level of a character in D&D 5e is level 20.
Out 20, even though I had no idea because I forgot it was true and false.
False.
True.
The answer is true. It requires 355,000 experience points and grants you a +6 proficiency bonus.
Wow.
You'll see that this quiz is designed to not only test you guys, but to educate everyone else on D&D.
So they must have changed it because it wasn't 30, I think, in a lot of other editions.
Probably. Okay. I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I just know that in this one it's 20. So
what about light level?
Question number 2. Light level from a game like Destiny does not matter.
Damn.
Burke loses a point.
Damn it. -1.
No, you play Mercy, so it balances out. All right, we're good. All right, here we go. Question 2. Question 2. Dwarves are a very popular class to play because they're tough to kill. They're very hardy in battle, to be sure. But where they're strong in life, they're unfortunately doomed to a shorter lifespan due to their size. Pun not intended. Their average life is slightly shorter than humans in D&D and live only about 80 years.
True.
False.
False. 400 years.
The answer is false. They live on average 350 years and don't reach maturity until age 50.
I swore I read 400 years.
I mean, 350 is kind of an average. So
350 is the average
probably
number.
Quite a few hit 400.
Gotcha.
Yep. Question number. So everyone. So that's Craig and Burke got the point.
Michelle.
Okay. Good. Okay. Got it. Question 3. There are a total of 11 classes to play as in D&D. So there's 11 classes in D&D.
False.
I'm gonna go false as well.
Burke.
I'm gonna go with false.
You all get the point because there's 12. There are 12 classes.
Fuck, I was going lower in my head. I was like, there's no way there's 11 of them.
Here's the 12 classes: Barbarian, Bard, Cleric, Druid, Fighter, Monk, Paladin, Ranger, Rogue, Sorcerer, Warlock, and Wizard.
Wow.
Those are the 12 classes to play as in D&D.
I always forget about the Bard.
5e. They always do. They always do. Question number 4. When building your character, you can leave everything up to a dice roll. There is even a dice roll plus modifier equation for your character's height and weight.
True.
True. There is, in fact, a full set of equations based on what race you choose. So based on what race and gender you choose, there's different equations that you can use with dice modifiers to calculate your entire character's appearance. Number 5. Coin is important in D&D. It is why it is the main purpose of many quests, and is how your characters are equipped and live. Knowing the currency of the land is important. There are 4 types of coin in D&D: copper, silver, gold, and platinum.
True.
False.
Can you repeat the currency?
Copper, silver, gold, and platinum.
True.
The answer to that is false. Before gold and after silver, there's another type called electrum.
We were just talking about that. Dadgummit.
I just sent out a currency conversion chart to you guys today, and that was in there.
It was?
Yeah. Check it out. Go to her text message. It's literally in there, and it's worth 50. An electrum piece is worth 50. I hope that wasn't the next question.
No. I didn't go too deep dive on
Well,
these
it's worth
ones.
50 copper. Sorry.
Yeah,
Seriously,
there you go.
of course, I just glanced at that thing, but I seriously didn't see that.
No, it's in the book. I promise you.
Oh, there it is. Look at that. I just read right over that shit. I was like, what the fuck is this? 50? Wow.
Question number 6. When it comes to weapons, there is a special type of weapon that many adventurers invest in. Some monsters can only be slain with a silvered weapon, so it is recommended that you pay that 100 gold to have your weapon or ammunition silvered, depending on your quest.
True.
I'm going to go with true.
I'm going to go with false.
The answer is true. Some monsters in D&D, like those found in traditional lore, werewolves, for example, are weak to silver.
I thought the money was false.
Yeah. No, it is. It's 100 gold to have either your weapons or ammunition silvered.
That's really good thinking, Burke. I wouldn't have even done that had he been like, nope, it's actually 1,000 gold pieces or 1 platinum piece.
Yeah.
Number 7, I love Golden Sun. That's a fact. That part's true.
Point for Burke.
And in that game, you're called an adept, someone who controls an element. In D&D, there are also adepts who can do the same.
True.
I want to correct my earlier statement. It's 10 gold pieces to get 1 platinum coin. I apologize. That's the conversion. I'm going to go with true as well.
I'm going to go true.
True. There's a proficiency called Elemental Adept that allows you to add acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder to your spells. Note, I will be using this on my next character. I'm going to tell you guys right now that's happening. I was really kind of freaked out when I was like, really? Although I couldn't find any bonuses, and this is a kind of a side note, to what thunder does. I want to know. I'm assuming it's a sound-based thing, but I don't know. But we'll see. Number 8, spells are cool. That's a fact. But there are so many spells that it's hard to keep track of them all. There's even a spell that lets you mess with a character's memories, similar to the movie Inception.
True.
I'm going to go with false.
I'm going to go with false.
It's true. It better be Obliviate.
It's called true, or it is true, and it's called it's called memory, or sorry, it's called modify memory, and it
Damn.
allows you to
that.
reshape. It allows you to reshape a character's memories from the past 24 hours. And it's a will check. If the person has a strong enough will, they can block it.
Oh.
Number 9, sticking with spells for a moment, a fart cloud is not a spell in the game.
False.
So your statement is there is no fart spell.
Correct.
I'm going to go with true.
I'm going to go with true.
False. There is a spell called Stinking Cloud that is basically a fart cloud you can cast. Wow. You can literally cast a fart cloud. I thought that was funny.
Do you have to have
12-year-old?
Do you have to have beans in your inventory to cast it?
Amazingly, no.
Oh, damn.
Save against it is a constitution check.
But I did find out that if there is any sort of breeze, it just immediately like takes it away. So you need to do it in a non-ventilated area when you do the spell.
That's awesome.
Number 10, the Yeti. The Yeti is the Yeti is in the monster manual as a possible adversary.
True.
I'll go with true.
True. Yeah, the Yeti's in there.
That's awesome.
Sticking with the monster manual for a little while, Weremoose is a monster in the monster manual as a possible adversary. A weremoose.
True.
I'm going to go with true because there's were everything. If it's like, oh, there's a were piranha plant.
Yeah, that's exactly my thinking.
I'm going to go with dire moose, like CNC. No, but yeah, true.
False. I made that up. There is no weremoose.
You could probably make it a thing very easily.
I'm going to say, I'm glad Brian's putting the caveat of this is in the book because I was like, I'm going to write down every single one of these and they're all going to be like, you're attacked by a weremoose.
Number 12. Black Pudding is a monster in the monster manual as an adversary.
False.
I'm going to go with false.
True.
That there is no monster that is called the Black Pudding.
I'm going to go true.
True. That is a thing in D&D. There is an enemy called
and
Black
that's not
Pudding.
Like there's not, and it's not like a specific.
It's in
specific
the monster
enemy.
manual.
Okay. I was making sure it wasn't like, oh, it's Black Pudding, the whatever.
No,
something.
it's an actual like
the dreaded
creature.
pirate.
Yeah, no, it's literally just
the dessert pirate. Black Pudding.
He never eats his greens, but he always strikes. Oh God.
But there's always room for Jello.
Oh Lord. Number 13. Among the tools available in the game, there's one called a disguise kit that is made up of cosmetics, hair dye, and props that are used to help disguise the player when needed.
True.
True.
True. Yes, that is an actual thing you could buy in the game as a possible tool for you. Number 14. In the services section, the book lays out how much each service costs, i.e., taking a coach between towns is 3 copper pieces per mile, or using a messenger is 2 copper per mile. In this category, you can find the service of prostitution with a rate of 1 silver piece an hour.
True.
I'm going to go with false, Bob.
I'm going to go with true.
The answer is false. You're all sick for thinking that was in the actual manual. No, it is not a real thing. But it does have all the other services. Those parts are real. All right, last but not least, number 15. According to D&D, cats are considered monsters. Not like special giant cats. This is not talking about like saber-toothed tigers.
Like a house cat.
Yes, according to D&D, house cats are considered monsters.
True.
I'm going to go with false.
I'm going to go with true.
The answer is true. Standard cats are in the monster manual as evil monsters, whereas the only dogs listed have 2 heads or are werewolves. So in other words, dogs are good, cats are evil. It's proven in the monster manual.
That's what I'm talking about.
I thought it was important to share that with Craig and Michelle there.
Asshole.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
I liked it.
So what was our totals?
I was sitting there going, I was like, gosh, now I have to weigh the difference between Brian putting this on us because we know he cannot stand being around cats, or he's just doing that, or he's going to flip it around to, even if they're not in there, be like, well, they should be, so it is true. Fuck you.
You just got to
something like that.
All right, so the score, so it was neck and neck the whole time between all of us. Craig comes in second place with 10.
Ooh.
Oh, wait, 11. Sorry.
Nice.
I really didn't want to give him. I really didn't want to give him 11, but he actually got 11. I come in last with 10, and Michelle wins with 12.
Yay!
So nice work, Michelle.
I think that's the closest we've ever been.
That is pretty close.
Taking a look here, we have the cat is a tiny beast. It is unaligned. It has an AC of 12. It's got 2 hit points. Strength of 3. It's got a 15 dex, 10 constitution, 3 intelligence, 12 wisdom, 7 charisma, keen smell. Cat has advantage on wisdom or perception checks, and it has claws as a weapon attack, +0 to each hit within 5 feet. 1 target does slashing damage. It does not say it's evil. It just is an unaligned tiny beast.
There you go. In the monster manual, though.
Yep. There's a death dog, though.
Yes,
I'm assuming
they have 2 heads. I believe
he's neutral evil. He is neutral evil.
Oh, good.
He does not look happy.
He's the neutral evil dog. No,
he's like, meh, I'm all right. I'm evil.
I just thought that it was important that we did this quiz and got everybody a little more, familiar with the game. And if those of you who have never played it before, if you hear this podcast and you're thinking this sounds like something for you, give it a shot. It's very easy to pick up, and there's a lot of materials online to help you get started. And I hope that this was a educational piece for you today.
Yeah, it's definitely something. I think if you're listening to this podcast, you probably have a predilection to maybe trying to play this game. I would forget if you have a preconception on what the game is and you haven't played it. I definitely would try. And if you've played it once and you just want to, and you had a bad experience there, maybe it was with the people, because I remember my first time was a little weird, and the next time was even a little weird when it was with good friends. And now that I've gone through and done a lot more research and a lot more stuff, I haven't even played, I just have learned so much more about the game that it's become a lot of fun. Also, I wanted to say, if anybody would be interested in an actual play, we would not be opposed to the 4 of us sitting down and every once in a while, one of our episodes being an actual play. If you think it sounds like it could be something that's fun, just get a hold of us. Let us know that it's something you'd want to hear. Even if you wanted to hear a prototype, so you're like, I want to hear something first before it becomes something that totally takes over my world. let us know. We'll see what we can do and put something together. So
I'll throw more bat grappling hooks.
At Get Dunked On Pod on Twitter. You can Instagram, Facebook, all those things. Get a hold of us. We kind of want to hear about it.
Absolutely. It'll be a lot of fun, and and in real time you can listen to all of us get dunked on.
It's DND, fighting with the legends of yore. It's DND. Never kissed a lady before. Nope. Woo! Now the Lord of the Rings, the Dark Crystal and things, we use these as a reference tool. And when we put on our cloaks and tell warlock jokes, we're the coolest kids at the school. No, we're not. I know. Now Tack's a real bastard, but a fair dungeon master. He's got hit points and charisma to lend. And I rehearse in my room, or what I call the dragon's tomb. When I'm out with my girlfriend, it's D&D. Wait. Sorry. You got a girlfriend? Yeah. Yeah, I got a... No. It's D&D. Warriors that terrify. It's D&D.